What's going on, everybody? Harrison Graham here with another episode of Chicago Bears Now. Just doing a quick, small studio setup show for you guys today, as we just heard from Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham in their pre-draft press conference. Ben Johnson also spoke briefly. Actually, did a little poem on Brian Piccolo. That was cool. Shout out to TJ Edwards and Rome Odunze for winning that award this year for veteran and rookie. And listen, the NFL draft is 2 days away. It is draft week. If you're fired up for the draft, can I get a bear down in the comment section below? Bears sitting with the number 10 pick, but will they be for long? Lots of stuff. So get the bear downs going in the comments as we have a lot to get into. Okay, Ryan Poles talking about this year's draft, and he kind of alluded to some of the latest buzz that's been out there that things could get a little bit crazy this year in the first round. He said, a couple quotes here that stood out. Quote, "I think this is going to be a little wild, but we're going to be prepared for the scenarios that pop up." He says there's a lot of phone calls going on right now. Now, we're going to do a full video later today as well on Peter Schrager's report that the Browns and Giants are getting calls at 2 and 3 willing to move down. Are the Bears in play to move up that far? Obviously, there's been chatter. Maybe the Bears trade up with Jacksonville at 5. We talked about that yesterday as well. I do think with the uncertainty that this draft is kind of providing after Cam Ward going to Tennessee at 1, which we found out is locked in today, it could lead to some pretty interesting and aggressive moves from certain teams, especially inside the top 10. And the reason for that is there's not a ton of blue chip players. You've got Travis Hunter. You've got Abdul Carter. Mason Graham's on that border. Ashton Genty's in there. Maybe Tyler Warren's in there. Will Campbell, Armand Mimbu. So, teams might look at this group of players and say, hey, there's good depth in this draft, but if I want to get a true high-end blue chip type of guy, I might have to get pretty aggressive inside the top 10 to make that move. And with the Bears picking at number 10, as we've discussed, they might be just on the outside looking in terms of getting one of those guys. Is Ashton Genty going to fall to 10? I would say probably not. Could Tyler Warren? Maybe, but I would probably bet against it. Will Campbell? Sounds like Patriots at 4 are a good landing spot. We know Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are expected to be picks 2 and 3 to the Browns and Giants unless one of them trade down. But even if they do trade down, who's ever trading up, whether it be the Bears or someone else, they're going to go in that range. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Poles, how Cunningham, with the influence of Ben Johnson as well, how do they attack this draft? Do they get uber aggressive and trade into the top 5 or even the top 3 to get a blue chip level player? Or do they let the draft come to them kind of like they did last year? But again, I don't think it's the same as last year. Last year, there were more high-end players that you felt like, okay, chances are one of them will get to 9. Even if it's not Rome Odunze, we could take Jared first. Someone like that. Like there were other options available, but if Warren, Genty, Campbell, Mason Graham, who could be sliding, we'll talk about that at some point as well. If these guys don't get to 10, it kind of feels like there's a big drop-off. Then you get to the Calvin Banks of the world. He's been gaining some steam as a guy who could be in play for the Bears at 10. They reportedly had a private workout with him, set a big contingent to his pro day in Austin. Albert Breer reported that today. You've got Michael Williams, who I really like, but he feels more like a guy you would take, 14 to 20. So 10 feels a tick early. I don't think they're going to be in the mix for Mike Green. I like the player, but the off-field concerns are valid, obviously. Colston Loveland, really good player, but he has an injury concern. So it's just very, very interesting how the Bears approach this. And it really comes down to a combination of things. One, how do you feel about the current roster? Are you willing to move off of some draft capital to move up for one premium type of player? 2, is that player you're willing to move up for, is he a true difference maker? And 3, if you do move up, how confident are you that you're going to win and potentially win big in 2025? And when I say win big in 25, I mean you're winning 10. You're a no doubt playoff team. You may not make the Super Bowl, but you're winning 10, 11 games, and you're a threat to win a playoff game or two. It's hard to say. Like, I think they have a lot of talent, and if they add a couple key difference makers here, then I think that's possible. But this is a team that won 5 games last year, so it's tough. It's tough to navigate. A lot more to come. Hit that subscribe button so you stay on top of everything we got going on here on Chicago Bears Now. We'll be live for all 7 rounds of the NFL draft starting on Thursday night. Should be a lot of fun. Okay, Ryan Poles was asked about Joe Thuney, and then an interesting Darnell Wright nugget as well, which we will get to here in just a second. But first, we are sponsored by Game Time. Do you want to go check out the Cubs at Wrigley Field? They got the Dodgers in town tonight and tomorrow. How about getting good ticket prices to go watch the White Sox play at Guaranteed Rate Field? Or if you're living in the Chicago area, you're not too far from Indiana and Milwaukee for that Bucks-Pacers series. Today's show, sponsored by Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Bears Now by Chat Sports. Tons of events to go to. Baseball in full swing. You got the NBA playoffs going on, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and Game Time's going to get you the best prices available. They make getting tickets faster and easier, even for those hard-to-get playoff series seats or, high-end Wrigley Field tickets. They're going to give you the best deals out there, and prices on the Game Time app typically go down the closer you get to tip-off or to first pitch. Often you can find tickets at a reduced price on the day of the event, even just hours or minutes before it starts. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from the seats, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to your sporting events. Save up to 60% off by buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. So download the Game Time app today. Use our code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, all one word, to get $20 off. Terms apply. Again, that's code ChatSports, $20 off. Terms apply for your first purchase only. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, Joe Thuney. Is he next in line for an extension? He said, quote, yes, that's definitely one of the priorities moving forward. Did note that they got to get through the draft first. And that's kind of where I thought this would go. I think both sides are probably motivated to get a deal done. But for this one, with him being 32 years old, even though he's still a premium player and arguably the best player on the team, I don't think there's any harm in going through the draft first. There could be a player you end up drafting that projects to be a starting guard next year, so that could throw a wrench into things. Now, I expect this to get done. It sounds like that's going to happen. That's basically the same wording he used when asked about Kyler Gordon at the owners' meetings, calling it a priority, same word there. So I'll take Pole's word for this. These pre-draft press conferences, there's a lot of smoke and misleading and stuff. I don't think you'd be misleading about a Joe Thuney extension. Like, I think barring something unforeseen, that's a deal that gets done. Now, I'll throw one example for you that could change things. Maybe they draft Will Campbell or Armand Mimbu, and they want to try him at left tackle. And maybe they say they get into the offseason program, into training camp. They're like, you know what? We don't think they're a left tackle. They're a guard. Well, maybe if they look good at guard and a player that can excel at guard, then maybe you wouldn't extend Joe Thuney. Maybe you would play this year out. I think that's an unlikely scenario. I think Thuney's here beyond this year. I think he should be. But, again, to the point of, I don't think you need to rush this deal. Get through the draft first. Let the chips settle a little bit, and then reopen these negotiations in May or even June. Okay, speaking of the offensive line, Ryan Poles was asked about the possibility of moving Darnell Wright to left tackle. He said that's something they could consider, and that they think he's good enough to do it. He did play some left tackle at Tennessee before his senior year, although when he went exclusively to right tackle as a senior, he played much better. So I kind of view Darnell Wright as a right tackle that could play left tackle, but do you want to mess up a good thing? I think Darnell Wright is on the right trajectory. I have no problem with them leaving that door open because Armand Mimbu, people view is a true right tackle. So if that's a player you were to draft, then maybe you would be open to flipping right to left tackle. So again, I don't think you have to shut any doors, but I think it's one of those things that it's pretty unlikely. And on the voluntary minicamp today, there's a photo out there already that Darnell Wright was lined up at right tackle. So not too concerned about that. Okay, we heard from Ian Cunningham as well as the Bears assistant GM has kind of had a role with it of an offseason, which he acknowledged. He admitted it was awkward when he wasn't involved in the initial coaching interviews because there was a chance he was going to get a GM job. So the Bears smartly kept him out of that process because you don't want to get, kind of free intel on these guys if you're going to be running a different team. But said it's all good now. He did admit he was hurt, that he didn't land a GM job, either Tennessee or Jacksonville. Those were the two teams that he was a finalist for. But he's full steam ahead, says he's enjoyed working with Ben Johnson. He also answered a couple of draft-related questions. The idea of trading up for the number one pick, he says, quote, depends what the cost is, who the player is, the value. We are weighing those right now. We'll see on draft night. I think going back to polls, like the uncertainty, it could get a little wild. He was also asked about the idea of drafting a running back, what's not typically considered a premium position in the first round. He says, yes, we weigh premium position versus non-premium position, but at the end of the day, it's a playmaker. If we see him in that role, I think you can go take a playmaker that's not at a premium position. And that's something Ben Johnson alluded to when asked about like a Tyler Warren and Ashton Jeanty at the owners' meetings. Like he said they took Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit because he was a weapon, not just because he was a running back. So if they think Ashton Jeanty is a dynamic player with the ball in his hands that can do different things, which he's shown in his career 2 seasons ago, he was excellent as a receiving back. Obviously, the last couple of years, he's been awesome as a runner, or a Tyler Warren type as well that can do some different things. Just because running back and tight end aren't considered premium positions, those are 2 of the premium players in this draft that, again, doesn't have a lot of those. So I think this is a unique draft where you'd be willing to take one of those players inside the top 10 or maybe even the top 5 or 6. So going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. We're 2 days away from the NFL draft, which gets going on Thursday night. So don't forget to subscribe and join us for that. If you had to guess right now, who do the Bears pick in the first round and what pick is it? Are they staying at 10? Are they trading up? Are they trading back? What are they going to do, and who is that player going to be? Let us know in the comment section below. Hit the subscribe button. We'll be back later this afternoon with another video. Bear down.